All right, Alan, it's time. It's time to talk about Snow White. We will be non-spoiler today, although we'll get into probably light spoilers. If any of you care, you've been warned. There will be light spoilers in this. Alan, let's talk about Snow White. If you would go over the story somewhat, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know Snow White, it's the story of a young girl who's born in stressful circumstances. Her parents were in a carriage in the middle of a snowstorm, and she was born and survived, and that's how she became Snow White.
Because there was snow.
There was snow. Okay.
Okay.
And about 5 minutes into the movie, her mother dies, and the king is there, and he succumbs to the beauty of this strange woman, who then marries him, and now she becomes the evil queen after sending her husband, Snow White's father, off to death. Now Snow White is
off to war that he may or may not have survived.
Okay. And so she is now locked up in the castle, seeing how economically oppressed all the villagers are. She shows compassion. She shows mercy. And by doing that, the magic mirror tells the evil queen that Snow White is the fairest of them all. And now the evil queen is on a vendetta to kill Snow White. But there are dwarves and bandits who are there to help her survive and win in the end. And there's music and dancing and creepy CGI and lots of cute animals.
It does follow the bullet points of the original fairy tale. It actually does, for the most part. It hits those beats, but adds a whole lot of extra to get to a 1 hour and 49 minute running time. So I'll say this. The new musical numbers are not great. Nope. I can't even look. I can in my mind, I can pull up Whistle While You Work. Simple. It's a great tune. Very simple. It's memorable. None of the new songs are memorable. Having said that, Rachel Zegler is great as a singer. She is very good. I mean, I have to give her credit. You cannot deny, Alan. She is very good singer.
She is a very good singer. I will agree with you.
And you like musicals, so you are a good judge.
I thought she was brilliant in West Side Story.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, she gets some credit there. But that can't save the rearrangements of the classic songs, which are just plain bad. They even changed the lyrics to Whistle While You Work.
And Hi-Ho. They added lyrics to Hi-Ho.
And Hi-Ho. It's so so let's get the good, the bad, and the ugly for this. I mean, I already got the good out of the way, which is Rachel Zegler can sing, and she is not awful in the movie. But I'll say this, I have a theory as to why. This movie went through reshoots, and it was recut, and they did something. They did something with Rachel Zegler. What did they do? They reduced her screen time. How did they do that? They added a whole preamble with Snow White as a young girl and what she went through with her family. They included other storylines, including the bandits, the huntsman, the evil queen herself. So what you saw is the screen time of Rachel Zegler as Snow White was reduced in the movie, making her seem less annoying. I'll make a comment. Well, this will make sense. Star Wars Episode 1. Okay, whatever you think about that movie. I actually don't think Jar Jar Binks is that bad. Here's the problem with Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars Episode 1. He was comic relief. The problem is he gets annoying after a while, but no more or less annoying than C-3PO, a gay butler. And I think you could have saved Jar Jar Binks if you just cut his screen time in half or less If he has less screen time, he's just not as present and not as annoying. But he took over that movie to the point where if you look at the structure of episode 1, The Phantom Menace, he is the one that follows the hero's journey. The hero's journey is followed by Jar Jar. What he needed to do, George Lucas, is cut the screen time of Jar Jar down. You would actually like him as a character. That's what they did very wisely to Rachel Zegler. They cut her screen time down. That helped. And I also think that contributed to many of the reviews that say, hey, the movie is actually good. It's not great. It's good. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, because we've had 2 years of awful press. And now we get to the movie and it's like, that's not bad, which I can see. That is a fair. I had a friend text me. He said the same thing. It's okay. It's okay. It's not as bad as you thought it would be. So I don't know what you think about what I just said. I have some more comments as well. We'll get to the dwarves. Save the dwarves.
Okay, I'll save the dwarves. But when you say it's not as bad as it could have been, that's true. But it's still a bad movie. I mean, if you take away all the controversy, the story is awful. I joke a lot about the fact that this movie, what this movie had that the original didn't have, was exposition. There's just too much explaining going on. The other thing is the storytelling. There's not emotion. There's not heart in it. And I'll give you the biggest example. And this happens in the first 5 minutes. Snow White, as a little girl, she's with her father, the king, her mother, the queen. They're very happy. And then all of a sudden the narrator says, and then the mother dies.
Yeah, and
then in the well reflection, she disappears.
Now,
the thing is that, look, you feel bad because I told you the mother died, as opposed to all the other Disney movies. You either see or you feel the emotional impact of a parent dying. Frozen is probably the greatest example of that. The parents go off in a ship, they die, and you get that sense, that feeling of, you know how they feel. But here it's literally a line and she goes away. The acting, to me, this movie is just too on the nose, in the sense of, the whole point of Snow White is she is destined to become the queen, the leader her father wants her to be. That waiting on a wish, it's all about her wishing to be the daughter her father wants her to be.
Right.
I mean, really, is that what kids are into? Is that what kids connect with and resonate with? Then she goes off everywhere she goes in this movie. She sees you and she hears you and gives you, and it happens so often that by halfway through the movie, every time she sees someone or hears someone, your eyes roll into the back of your head. And I think that's why you and Dante had headaches afterwards.
Yes, I literally got a headache watching this movie.
Yeah. Now let me talk about the music. The music is great. It's exceptional. The lyrics are awful. The lyrics say nothing. The biggest example is the opening number called Good Things Grow. This is the song that introduces you to the land, the country that Snow White and her family rules over. And what happens is the song is about how in this town and in this country, good things grow. Like when they grow vegetables for the gardens, it's good. And then when they bake things, it's good. Everyone has plenty of stuff. This is a far cry from Belle from Beauty and the Beast. That opening number, when you see it play out, when Belle goes into the town, you understand Belle's character. You understand the basic conflict between her and the townies. And then you bring in Gaston, and now you've got the big conflict going on there. That opening number says everything you need to know about this story. But this song, Good Things Grow, it's about farming and how good things grow. I mean, that's just a little too on the nose. There is a love song in the middle of it. Maybe Friday we'll talk about the love story and how horribly mismanaged it was. But a love song, a Disney love song, the key to whether it becomes a classic or not is whether you would sing this song in your wedding or have this song sung in your wedding.
Oh wow, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, this one, I mean, it's I don't know. There's just this feminist vibe that flows throughout this entire movie.
Yeah, we can get into that. It's very girl bossy. It's
Princess Problems.
They,
the song Princess Problems. I mean, you can only imagine
Princess
what
Problems. Like. Oh my god! So it's all these. It follows the beats of the story while adding, and it's not like you could argue. I could see people argue, "Hey, it's not overly woke," but there's a whole socialism thing throughout where
there's a third wave feminism.
There's feminism in there. They sort of dance up to the line, but never say the word equity, but they're implying that with the Good Things Grow song, how you share all the resources of the kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And her speech to the queen about the people are starving. We need to give them a pie, can make them like it is like, oh, it's so you're right. It's so on the nose.
Let me give you the worst example of the exposition in the dialogue. There is a whole segment about why Happy was named Happy and why Dopey was named Dopey and why Sneezy was named Sneezy. And they thought they were being cute. They weren't. And then finally, I'm surprised at the end of this movie, Gal Gadot wasn't fat and overweight because she chewed up so much scenery throughout the entire movie. Yeah. I mean, I think people will say she did a good performance, but in my opinion, it was just really over the top. And when you combine it with dance numbers that she had to do, I'm like, this is incredible. I will say this, kids will love it. We talked about it last night. Single age kids will love the movie. And there's for one reason. There are cute animals from the opening frame to the ending frame. And the only times in our audience, the most of the time that the audience reacted audibly was when an animal showed up and looked cute. And that's the response. And kids, that's the Pavlovian response that kids will have. And you have enough of that going on to where they're going to like this movie. And I think I'm willing to bet that. I'm willing to bet that it'll make $400 to $500 million.
Well, we'll see. But I will say this: two last things, and we'll get to your comments. We will also go into more full spoilers on Friday. But the animals, they did everything they could to distract. It's like I said, they reduced Rachel Zegler's screen time, so it begins to feel like an ensemble by the end of the movie. And the way that the third act is resolved is laughable. We will talk about that on Friday.
Yeah. One thing you'll notice about the animals is every time, the wishing well, it's iconic. Every time the camera goes to the wishing well, 2 or 3 doves descend upon it and land. I mean, without fail each time.
Right. It's dumb. But okay. So, and the thing I noticed, we saw it with a full audience.
Mm-hmm.
You may not. If you go to the theater, you're not going to see it with a full audience. There were breaks where after a big song, you would expect people to applaud. Guess what? They did not. Like you pointed out, Alan, the only thing to get a big reaction were the animals. No one laughed. And there's an audible gasp when something shocking happens with one of the dwarves that I know pissed people off.
Mm-hmm.
I know it pissed people off. But let's talk about those dwarves and CG effects. The CG effects are so bad. In 1992, Jurassic Park came out and blew people's minds with dinosaurs that looked real. And somehow CG effects today have gotten worse. Bad. The dwarves are dead-eyed and are awful, like that bad Tom Hanks movie, Polar Express. I did not like that movie. I don't care whatever you think of it. I did not like that movie. The dwarves are so bad, And there's a thing with animators where they imbue their personality onto the characters they animate. I don't know who was doing the dwarves. They were very generic, and they looked like these big heads, like kind of like they were in some Mardi Gras parade. Some character running around with like a big head that they couldn't really figure it out. There was no reason. I think you said this last night. There was no reason they could not have hired some little people and maybe put makeup on them, and made them, maybe they had some CG enhancement. They could have brought the classic. I couldn't even tell them apart. Other than Doc, Grumpy, and Dopey, I didn't know who was who. They were not very distinct. And
look, I will. If you watch the movie, pay special attention to what the dwarves do and ask yourself the question: couldn't a human actor have done that?
Right. Yeah. Why did they not hire humans? And if it's Peter Dinklage, his comments led to that decision, I find that very sad. There is a little person in the movie, by the way, one of the primary bandit characters, one of the few I remember, and that character plays a part. But other than that, it's that's it. One last thing, and we'll go to your comments unless you have something else.
I have something.
Okay, good, please. Diversity.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add.
I know it's so distracting when it's not organic. You can have like a great actor play a part that is, say, a Denzel Washington or someone, or like someone, an actor that like, oh, well, it's Denzel. But the diversity is so they couldn't show a frame of the townspeople without, well, here's a white person and here's a person of color. And I think there's one Asian in the whole movie.
There's one Asian in the whole movie.
But it's no one does diversity worse than Disney. They are so adamant that like, it's not just about the group of characters, it's frames of, does every frame of the minor characters have to look like a box of crayons of different flesh colors? It's like so forced, it takes you out of the movie. It's like the live action Beauty and the Beast did that too.
Yeah. Look, I've always said that progressives and even liberals, they try so hard to not be racist that it comes off as racist. I talked about this on Monday on Versus, but all my life, diversity has meant black, and that this movie represents that comment perfectly. There was one Asian, maybe you can spot the Latinx, but it was black. That was their diversity. The other thing is, look, this took place hundreds of years ago, and when you watch it, you realize, wow, white and black people got along pretty well. There was no racism at all in the world back in the, let's say, the 1200s or the 1300s. Everyone got along. What happened? What point since Snow White did all of a sudden black and white citizens turn on each other? And that's what we talk about being inauthentic, or not being authentic. It's forced, it's thrown in there, and it doesn't feel real.
Well, one last comment. Kudos to Disney on the diversity. They made the huntsman black. The guy that was sent by the evil queen to take Snow White into the forest, chop her heart out, and put it in a box to deliver to the queen was black. So make of that what you will. Alan, your final review out of 10, what do you give it?
Okay, I gave it a 3 out of 10 because I liked Hi Ho. I was just talking again with my daughter about it, but the Hi Ho sequence, if you've been on the Snow White roller coaster at the Magic Kingdom, the Hi Ho sequence is based on that ride, and we certainly enjoyed that ride, and it was fun seeing it again. But like Emilia Perez, this is just a bad movie. Take away all the controversy, take away the fact that it's Disney. What was thrown on the screen is just bad storytelling. It treats adults like morons, and it panders to children with cute animals.
Well, I also give it a 3 out of 10, mainly because Rachel Zegler, she could sing and she wasn't as annoying as she could have been. So there you go.
It got a
Let's
3 for not being as annoying.
yeah.
And Chelsea M, I didn't know that medieval time Germany was so diverse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's why does it not work, Alan? I mean, it obviously doesn't work. It's like distracting. It's because I think it's the
It's
way
not.
they film it. Because like when they cut to there's an opening number that's like all the people in the village, right? This big village square. But when they cut, so it's big, you see the spectacle. Look at this crowd in this village square, and they cut to insert shots, these close-ups. But whenever they do, it's like black person, white person, 2 black people, young black girl, 2 white people. Like it's like it has to be like.
Well, that's just it. Because it's inauthentic, it feels out of place. And then when you see it, like you say, in every frame, posed that way, it now feels forced. Like they're pushing this diversity agenda upon us. And the fact that there was only one Asian, let's think about it. I can understand how you can have a good number of black people in your village, but one Asian, how did that person get there? How does that person, interact with everyone else? What about his culture? What about his Asian heritage? What of that? That's where this idea of diversity becomes slowly racist, because we're now denying the culture of that person and forcing a German European culture behind him, or background behind him. But that's a whole other conversation.